that's kind of how I set my table to my introduction of my top 10. And I'll start from the top down. So number 10, I put, and again, goals to be achieved over the next decade to protect and enjoy the great outdoors was how I titled my work here. So number 10, recognition that parks and public lands are vital to the social and economic viability of many American communities where they are. So again, I think that's why we're here. Number 9, a budget strategy that looks long-term. Governmental, non-governmental, and the private sector need to have the ability to plan long-term for the care of parks. Multi-year budgets like our federal transportation farm programs. We need to have capital plans that reflect the current conditions of parks infrastructures with priorities to correct deferred maintenance. And then and from my perspective, long-term concession contracts that enable needed investments. A 10-year term in my business just is not enough time to amortize the kind of investments that our current facilities need to be put into them. So number 8, I put a business model that encourages investment. I guess that's redundant to 9, although I think there's room in here for partnerships. I think there's room in here for one of the challenges we have as we invest money into, say, an Ahwahnee hotel. We don't own the asset, so there's no historic tax credit. So there's no, you almost get we would get a 30% bump in our investment if somehow we were able to structure that to where that investment tax credit that you find in the private sector on an owned asset, but doesn't apply on a government-owned asset. It'd be great if we could stretch that out. 7, embrace technology. From websites to social networks, interactive interpretation, handheld devices, we need to be committed to remaining current and relevant in our use of technology. We've been talking quite a bit about that in the last couple of days. Number 6, a commitment to interpretation programs. Connecting the visitor to the resource enhances their experience, creates demand for their return. We need to interpret in a meaningful way that is responsive to the diversity of the park users. So on that, there's 2 things there. Interpretation, that's our brand, that's our differentiator. Why does anyone come to any of our locations? That's our differentiator, so we better tell them why this place is different. Otherwise, we're competing in a hugely competitive market for leisure time, and if when they come, they don't realize why this was a special place, we better tell them what our brand is. And when I say diversity, I mean diversity of everything. So it's just not ethnic, it's not race, it's age. We have to look at diversity from all aspects. 5, standards of service. And the Park Service has been working on this for a while now, as has the industry, but an active partnership between public land agencies and businesses operating in parks to demonstrate world-class standards of visitor service and environmental management that can compete in this very crowded field for consumer leisure time. So again, as we talk about the brand with interpretation, it's also important to protect our brand from a service level. So when people go to a national park and state park, they'll have an expectation of what service should be like, and we need to create those standards of service. Commitment to marketing. I know we've been talking about this one as well. We're part of a world economy that competes for leisure time and dollars from consumers. We need to realize that marketing is a key component to staying relevant and competitive. Again, competitive. We're competing for people's leisure time. When the Game Boy is competition, we need to figure out how to be relevant and market to that group and to all groups. So marketing is key. Number 3, increased environmental education programs. Every major national park, and again this is a goal, it should offer education each year, an experience that will inspire them to be lifelong users and advocates for public lands. I spent 7 years living in Yosemite National Park. My kids have been through the Yosemite Institute programs. I've been through the Yosemite Institute programs. 16,000 kids a year come through Yosemite with the Yosemite Institute programs. We should be repeating that everywhere. I mean, to me, that's without having scouting out there in a big way, this is that version of really creating lifelong lovers of public land. Number 2 is improved park visitor facilities. Address the needs and expectations of current and future park users. We are stuck in old models of how we engage the public through facilities. Hotels need to have modern amenities. Visitor centers need to be in the right location, telling the right story, using current techniques. And again, I liken this to my term in Yosemite, where as we're looking to redo Yosemite Lodge, for example, a facility built in the 50s, its useful life was probably 20 years past. So as we design for a new facility, we decide that air conditioning is not necessary. It's very hot in Yosemite Valley during the summer. I likened it when you drive down the road and you see on the old motels, they say free color TV. I mean, dude, is that really a market? Are you really going to stop at that hotel? Free color TV? I mean, it's the expectation is that you have a phone, you have a color TV, you have air conditioning if it's a hot area. So again, modern amenities are expected. And then my number 1 item, and I know we've been talking about this as well, is research, research, research. Research is needed to develop guidelines for plans and programs to meet the needs of customers who are increasingly older, urban, or more racially and ethically diverse. We need to have a long-term knowledge-building strategy so we can use this as an effective tool to continue to engage and be relevant. I thought Nina Roberts' discussion today was just spot on. That she's right. There is a lot of research out there, but she also mentioned about the gaps. We really have to understand where our gaps are in research and go after it and understand truly what's driving demand for use in public lands and figure out how to connect better.